Hey guys, it's UK Mayhem. Today what we're going to do is upgrade a Dl380 Gen 7. We're going to be adding a secondary drive cage today, and this is going to give us the ability to add another 8 hard drives. What we need to do as well, we need to add one of these cards in here. This is a RAID expansion card, and what it does, it gives me the ability to add the secondary drive cage. Now we do need to make a slight adjustment to this server here, and we're going to be removing the disk drive. If we can get the screwdriver to work. So we've now got these loose. One thing that is important, don't lose your screws. Put them somewhere safe where you can find them. And now this will just slide out, and this was your disk drive. Now what we can do to replace it, we can use one of these. Now inside it is full of 600 gigabyte SAS HGST drives. There's 8 of them in this, and now what we need to do is add the controller cables. So something that did catch me out the first time when experimenting with servers is the word I'll use. You need a longer power cable for the second cage. Now we have one here, and the part number for this machine would be a HPPN 582248002, and what it is, it's a dual 10-pin cable, and it's designed to power the devices here, look. And what we need to do is we need to remove this panel here, and as you can see, we have access here for another 10-pin. So just to make my life a little bit easier on installation, because trust me, trying to do this when it's in the cage is not a good idea. Makes your life rather difficult. So we're going to fold these cables. We're going to fold these cables. Obviously don't fold them hard, you don't want to cause damage. And then we're going to slip this mass of cables through. And then hopefully, oh, there you go. Nope, we're going to have to disconnect the power, otherwise it isn't going to go in. Isn't that a surprise? And then as you see, we have a cable stuck somewhere. Now that should. Also a good idea to remove the screws on top. And voila! We now have added another 8 hard drives to a Dl380 Gen 7. So we do need to sort this a mass of cables out. So you gently finesse as much as you can down by the side of the fans, and as you see, the cable length is actually longer than the server. Now yes, that does leave you excess, and something very important to remember, your SAS cables need to be the same length. If they're not, it will not work. So we're just going to connect the power in now, and with a click you know it's plugged in properly. Again, we need to run the cabling, so bit of gentle finessing, and there we go. And then what I tend to do is, because as I said there's always a little bit of extra cabling, is feed it in gently. You know, you don't want to be crushing any ports or anything like that. And then we need to free up the power spot here, and very gently, due to capacitors, so something you can do to make your life a bit easier, probably I should have done this in the first place, is just remove the fan. And there we go, we're connected. So run the cabling gently down the case and then reattach your fans. There's only one way you can do it. Just check, slot, click. Now, the next part is a little bit more important. We can add the shroud back in place now, due to our cabling being nearly complete. It will be a little bit more difficult now there's extra cables in place, but again, just be gentle and everything should fit in fine. Apart from unplugging one of my RAM sticks there. And with a bit of finessing, it will go in. Sorry about that, guys. And this here is your RAID battery. Slot that in place temporarily. And now what we're going to do, we're just going to disconnect power. Disconnect Ethernet also, because Ethernet does carry power. You now want to unscrew these 3 bits here. If not, they can be a bit difficult. That one's done. There we go. Now, what we want to do, these 2 tabs here, you pull gently and the whole rear panel comes out. Now, as you see, we already have 2 SATA connections on here, and that is the original P410i. And what this does here is expands it so I can add more drives to it. So we've got to take off this panel here, and that will drop, and then hopefully, without knocking the other one out, because this can be a real nuisance, is you want to slot it in place very gently, and just like that you're done. Then slot your bracket back in place just so you can pin it. Oh, something I probably should have done, it's not that, but I probably should have wired the cabling up first for this. Now we need to remove these 2 here, and it should just be a case of pushing hard and pulling. And that's one through. And this is our secondary through. Now what we do want to do is try and free one of our cables here, because we're going to need a little bit more space to do this. So we're going to take this one here and put it here, and we're going to do the same with our secondary. Now we take P410, and as you see it will say to controller, to backplane. Okay, so we want to do, we need to add our own secondary cables now, and we're going to do here, and we're going to do here. And the reason why, we are now going to connect these two here, or attempt to. So now our RAID controller is connected to our expander, and what we want to do is connect the drives that we've just added and you do have to follow in parallel there. As you saw, this was port 4, this was port 5, I think this was port 6, and this was port 7. You need to make sure you follow in series there, otherwise you will find yourself having issues. I'm going to free up this cable here again, so I've got a bit more room to navigate this around. And now we are going to connect the card in place. So line it up, click it in, and you're done. I had issues with this last time. There we go. And now, apart from finding a place for all the extra cables, which will become a slight nuisance, as you're about to find out, we're going to put the cage in place temporarily, and this isn't locked in yet, and we're going to run our lines until we know that we are secure and safe on the server. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to untangle the RAID battery. We are going to properly seat the air shroud, which is currently getting stuck due to the new cabling we added. So that's now in place. We're now going to start to run the cables as best we can, and yes, unfortunately this is a mess. There's not really much you can do about it. There's a lot of cables here, and it is really just a case of trying to get it in neat. No, that's not locked, so that's not happy. That's the problem. Now, with a gentle squeeze, we should be locked in one place, locked in the second place. Now, tighten it back up. This is just to make sure everything sits in place. Again, just trying as neat as you can, but I'm no expert when it comes to these at the moment, so I'm gonna say that will do. Now, take your lid, reattach, click, and done. Let me just move the extension lead back up. And let's plug it back into the network. Let's add some power.